Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to your Scotland rugby news. It's your big Calcutta Cup preview ahead of the showdown at Murrayfield tomorrow afternoon as Scotland and England lock horns in the Six Nations. To look ahead to the match and to look back on the controversy of the previous game, I'm delighted to say we're joined, first of all, by Gavin, Harper and the Bills of Murrayfield. How are we doing, Gav?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Derek. Just a busy morning, a busy day of press conferences and stuff going on here. But yeah, all good and looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Steph Brawn also joins us to look ahead to the match. How's it going, Steph?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. It's always a bit of a disturbance in your routine the follow week. The Six Nations either side of this middle weekend. So I think it's always a stage you look forward to. I heard somebody saying earlier on today that it's like moving day in golf. The third day in a golf tournament. It's kind of like that. The third weekend of the Six Nations is where things start to really show what's going to happen. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it certainly felt like a long couple of weeks having had to stew on that TMO decision that we'll discuss shortly. Before we do that, folks, just a quick word for our promotion we've got on just now. You can subscribe to Scotland Rugby News for just £1 for 6 months, or you can take out a year's subscription for just £12. It's a cracking deal we've got on just now. Head over to scotlandrugbynews.com/subscribe to take advantage of it and join our ever-growing family on there. Right, where shall we start? We'll start off with that decision last week, Gav, I guess. I know you guys have discussed it at great length. We've had a couple of weeks, as I mentioned, just to go over and over and over it. I'm still feeling sick about it, I've got to be honest. We should be heading into this game against England with maximum points, but such is life. What's your overriding feeling about it, and how does Scotland get over it?
I think they've actually done a pretty good job, according to Gregor Townsend this week, of putting it to bed and is dealing with England and for that being their focus. He said that Sam Skinner had scored a try in training. Obviously, it was Sam who had the try disallowed against France, and he said he scored a try in training, and everybody was celebrating and cheering, and I think that probably shows that they've got themselves over it. There's a bit of closure, and they've parked it and moved on. Although everybody's still bitterly disappointed.
Yeah, it's okay parking it and moving on, Steph, but I mean, it could prove absolutely pivotal in the grand scheme of things. But is it important not to dwell on that and just focus on the here and now and move on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a killer of a decision. And, if I say that everybody gets bad refereeing decisions, some people will come back at me and say, not like that. But you just have to move on. And it will be a sign of how mature Scotland are and whether they are capable of ever winning this championship. If they can just move on from this and build from it and, channel whatever kind of anger and frustration that they might still have. It sounds like they've moved on quite well, but if there is anything there, channel it and use it for good. I don't think they need any more motivation this weekend than, the chance to beat England again. And I think it'll be the first time, if they do, I think I heard it was going to be the first time they would beat England 4 times in a row in a championship since the 1890s.
Wow.
So it's ridiculous. Like it would be, completely historic to do it that many times in a row. So I don't think they need any more motivation, but hopefully that any anger and frustration they still have from that decision, they can use that as fuel this weekend.
Yep. Of course, Scotland go into the game, Gav, rightly as favourites at home, of course. England, though, have won their opening 2 games. Not convincing, it's fair to say, but what we're expecting from the opposition tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it'll be a slightly different England team, or a slightly different way of playing, because Steve Borthwick's made 5 changes. He's brought in George Furbank at fullback from Northampton in place of Freddie Stewart, who's, for my money, probably the best fullback in the world under the high ball, which speaks to them moving away from that and possibly actually playing a bit more. And I think that might be something that plays into Scotland's hands. If England decide they're going to throw it about, then I think man for man, Scotland have got a better backline and could cause more damage than than the English. Interestingly, he's brought in Ollie Lawrence at 12, who is somebody that Finn Russell will know really well. They play together at Bath, and he'll give them a wee bit of direction in the midfield. He's a pretty robust carrier. He'll get England over the gain line. But so I think everybody talks about Finn all the time, and people like Duhan van der Merwe, but I actually think the matchup between Sione Tuipulotu and Ollie Lawrence is the one that might decide the back division, because whichever of them can get front foot ball is going to go a long way to putting their team on the front foot, obviously, and then allowing the likes of Finn and Blair Kinghorn to cause a bit of damage. But yeah, I think England will come confident, more confident than they probably expected to be at this stage, but they've obviously been scarred slightly by the results in the previous Calcutta Cups. So it'll be interesting to see how they get through the first maybe 10, 15 minutes of the game and then find their feet and kind of navigate their way through. But I think people come in to see a repeat of France kicking the leather off the ball. I would be surprised if England adopt the same tactic.
Yeah, Steph, Scotland, as you mentioned, Scotland haven't lost to England. Well, it was Murrayfield the last time back in 2020, but the opportunity, as you mentioned, to equal that record that stretches back such a long time, does that put extra pressure on the team, do you reckon? Plus the favourites tag.
Yeah, I think the pressure is on Scotland this weekend. I mean, if they lose this game, I think that it's their championship over. If there's anybody that thinks it might still be alive, it needs to be that they win this weekend. So it's a really, really important game, and England are a team, as we've said, that they've beaten over the past few years. So if they lose this game, I think serious questions will be asked. I think there will be a bit of an inquest into what's going on. We were playing so well in the first half against Wales, but we nearly lost it. Succumb. There was a bad decision at the end of the France game, but we could have really put that away before that, and now we've lost to England. I think that would be, I think a loss will be so catastrophic, to be honest. But I think that people will forget that this game will be very, very important to England as well. They will be angry that Scotland have managed to have their number over the past few years. I think that people sometimes think that the Scots are the most passionate fans, and maybe that about the players as well. But I think England will have a real bee in their bonnet about this fixture and how it's gone over the past few years. And I think that I read yesterday that there's a pretty emotional story with Jamie George as well, who has recently lost his mother to cancer, which is devastating. And I think that that's obviously going to be a big motivator for him and the team. He's the captain, so I imagine it will be a big motivation for the team as well. So it's a really, really important game for both teams. It's going to be a close one. It always is. Yeah.
Gav, as we all know, Scotland are littered with quality amongst in and around that squad. But as Steph says, are we right to expect a little bit more from the players starting from tomorrow, given that as you mentioned, holding on down there in Cardiff, should have beaten France before that controversial decision come the end of the game? Are we right to expect a bit more?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's now fair. I think that these players all play, in big European clubs, in big games, and are now among the best players in Europe, certainly some of them in the world, for likes of Finn in their positions. And yes, we flew into a lead in Cardiff, and that was great. But as you say, we were hanging on at the end against Wales, against France, at home. As Steph rightly says, we should have had that game well out of sight to take out the Sam Skinner try at the end. I think Scotland fans now are in a position that I certainly wasn't in 10 years ago when we were turning up here hoping for a result.
Yeah.
With very little expectation of one coming. I think now Scotland fans are right to expect a result and good performances, week in, week out. And I don't think the players themselves, Gregor Townsend, the coaches, will be hugely thrilled with how these games have gotten away from them in the last couple of weeks. And, as Steph says, England games are always tight. I mean, history shows that they're going to have to play for 80 minutes and be at their best to put England away tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, there's no room for complacency, Steph, is there? It's all right being the better team on paper, but you need to go out there and execute the performance, don't you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's so much emotion around this game. Perhaps there isn't, the level of hostility there might have been in the, around 1990 and things like that, where there was a lot of things going into the atmosphere at Murrayfield beyond rugby, to be honest, politics and things like that. So I don't think it's like that anymore, but I think that it's still a game that everybody gets up for, and it's become a much better fixture over in recent years, because for many, many years it was written in the stars that England were going to win. There was just such a big chasm between the two teams, and now there's not. No, they can't. They definitely can't be complacent. You look across that England team, and there's talent everywhere. And I do feel it's one of those things. I do feel at some point they're going to come good. It's going to come together for them. It's not. They've not quite been able to find their exact identity and how much they want to. How much they want to. What their attacking game is. They haven't really managed to work that out yet, I don't think. But they've just got so many good players, and we saw how close they ran South Africa in the World Cup, and they've had a good run of results really recently. So absolutely not for Scotland. They've got to be heads on for 80 minutes for sure.
Yeah,
I think just to interject there, I think that's a fair point that England's attack still not really found its feet at all. But everybody this week's talked about their defence and this new blitz defence. They've brought in Felix Jones, who was ex-Ireland fullback, but was part of the South Africa coaching ticket that's won them 2 World Cups. And he's made a big difference, and they've completely changed the way they defend, but they don't always get it right. I mean, South Africa almost always get it right. England are still finding their feet, and there might be opportunities there for Scotland tomorrow. If they can get slightly on the front foot, there'll be opportunities for Finn to put the ball over the top and check that blitz, or move the ball wide. And the likes of Kyle Stainblair, Kinghorn, Duhan could cause England real problems. So I think that's been a real talking point this week, is this blitz defence. But I'm not convinced it's as dangerous as the likes of South Africa.
Yeah. Let's talk about some personnel with regards to Scotland as well. Of course, Jamie Ritchie back, having lost not only the captaincy and his place in the team for the French game. Gav, what's the thinking behind that?
So Gregor said yesterday that he's brought Jamie back for basically his work in the breakdown, and that Matt Fagerson, although he went off against France injured, is fit and available, but just isn't selected. So yeah, I mean, Gregor said that basically Jamie and Rory Darge will work against Sam Underhill and Ben Earl, who's England's number 8, but is more kind of traditionally an open side. And that battle of the breakdown is key. And actually, that's one of the things that Scotland can do to nullify that blitz defence, is if they get good, quick ball, it's really, really hard for England to then reset and move off the line as quickly as they'll want to. So, I mean, I think Jamie's got a big role to play. Fair play to him, because it would be easy, and it's been the case in the past that other players have fallen away, having lost captaincy and been dropped out of the team. So fair play to him. He's gone away good for Edinburgh last week, had a reasonable game. I didn't think he was at his absolute best, but he's obviously won the trust of Gregor and the coaches, and I mean, he comes back in and he's got a pretty big job to do tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Blair Kinghorn also back in that side. Is there any, looking at the Scotland team, Steph, Finn Russell, we all know his quality. Any other players that you think could be big pivotal players tomorrow?
Oh yeah, I think Blair Kinghorn absolutely will be. He's such a running threat at the back, and can, you know, when he gets his pace going, he can evade tacklers like nothing you've ever seen. So it's like, yeah, I think he'll be a real threat from the back. I was impressed with Jamie Ritchie actually in the Edinburgh match on Friday against Sudbury. I didn't think it was a good Edinburgh performance at all. And as we were discussing on group chats and things, that they've probably not given Gregor Townsend much to think about, a lot of the players. But I thought that Jamie Ritchie was looking like he was getting back to a level of form. I thought that he spotted that he turned over, a few balls at the breakdown and stuff, and that's kind of the kind of thing I don't think I've seen enough of from him lately. So hopefully he can bring that onto the field tomorrow. But I think Blair Kinghorn will be a point of difference, and I'm intrigued by if Tui Tuipulotu can have an impact on the game as well, because I think that battle with Ollie Lawrence, as Gav was pointing out, is going to be intriguing, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to have Blair back, Gav.
I mean, great. I mean, do you know what? Firstly, fair play to Harry Patterson. He'd only played 8 games for Edinburgh, and then on the morning of an international, he thinks he's going to be chucking a bib on and running about outside doing the warm-up. And I mean, he gets the call in the morning, and I thought he was brilliant. Like he slightly caught out positionally for the French try, and he was kicking himself after the game. But for a young guy to come in and play so well, bodes well for the future, I think. But yeah, it's the natural selection with Blair back fit and available, and Kyle Steyn, obviously in the circumstances of it was him that dropped out for Harry to come in. Kyle Rowe's unlucky. I think he's played well in the first 2 games, but Kyle Steyn and Blair are really experienced campaigners, and I think if England do go to that aerial game, I think Blair Kinghorn's something like 6'5", so that makes a huge difference in the air. And I mean, Kyle Steyn had done nothing wrong to lose his place in the first place. So yeah, it's the natural selection, and it's no real surprise to me that they've both come straight back in. But just to pick up on the point that Steph was making about important players, I think probably tomorrow there's none more so than Xander Fagerson. He played 80 minutes against France, which is almost unheard of at tight head prop. He might have to do the same thing again tomorrow, because, I mean, credit Elliot Miller-Mills. I thought he played well against Wales when he came in. He's kind of come from nowhere, wasn't in the original squad, is now in because of injuries, but has been picked ahead of WP Nell this week. Scrums and lineouts are, the set piece is going to be massive from an English point of view. They'll really target that as a point of maybe their advantage. So yeah, Xander will have to have a huge game.
Yeah, England, of course, making a number of changes to their own squad. We've discussed a few of their personnel, but Gav, is there anyone that you think Gregor Townsend will be telling his players to keep an eye on?
I think both the halfbacks, but for different reasons. Danny Care's somebody who likes the ball in his hands as much as possible, and certainly with Harlequins, looks up the tempo as much as he can, whether that's just their style of play, wide to wide, or quick tap penalties, that kind of thing. So he's somebody Scotland will have to be very, very wary of. And I mean, George Ford, as we saw at the World Cup, just can control a game brilliantly. And if England's forwards get on top, that could become a real sticking point for Scotland. So I imagine part of Jamie Ritchie's job, along with Rory Darge, might be to get at George Ford and put him under as much pressure as they possibly can, because he's a specialist, almost the inventor of this spiral bomb where the ball goes in the air and it's all over the place, and it's a nightmare for fullbacks to catch. If he puts a few of them up, he'll cause Scotland problems. So yeah, they'll have to get at him, I think, and try and close the halfbacks down. I think they're probably the big ones for me. Yeah, absolutely.
Steph, you mentioned previously, I mean, it'll be a raucous atmosphere, I'd imagine, at Murrayfield tomorrow. How big a role can the fans play in tomorrow's game as well?
Oh, massive! Like, I think that Scotland take a huge amount of motivation from their home fans, and we've seen that from the results that they've had at Murrayfield, particularly particularly in Calcutta Cups. I mean, it was a shame, again, to bring up the France game. I think there was a bit of a complaint, actually, about that the crowd there, because I think there was a bit of an issue with the number of French fans that had managed to get tickets. There's been a bit of a... Sorry, I'm going off on a slight tangent here, but it's just about about fans, and there has been a bit of an issue that with fans getting tickets. I mean, I noticed that no tickets didn't go on public sale for either Scotland home game this year, and it all went to fans that had membership packages, basically, that they'd paid for to attend every game this year. But then some people were complaining because there seem to be so many French fans. But I've heard that French fans will do whatever it takes to get tickets, even if that means buying a Scotland membership package and then just not going to the other games. I've genuinely heard that. So, I think that, going back to your original point, the atmosphere makes a massive difference. But I think it is a shame that there's a lot of fans out there who will be disappointed that they've not been able to get into a Six Nations home game, either because it's so expensive or they just haven't been able to access tickets. So I think it does help, that the home crowd does help Scotland, but there'll be a lot of disappointed fans out there. Yeah.
Unfortunately, Murrayfield, if they could add another 20,000 onto it, I think it would be great news all round. I think some people will still be disappointed at missing out on tickets. Of course, Calcutta Cup match, not the only game taking place this weekend, Gav. We'll keep a close eye, of course, on the other two games. Ireland taking on Wales, France playing host to Italy. How do you see those two games going?
I mean, I would like to say that I don't think they'll be cut and dry, but it's hard to look past Ireland and France, isn't it? I think from a Scottish point of view, wouldn't it be great if Wales did us a big favour and caused a massive upset against Ireland? I just with their, the changes in the Welsh camp and the way they've kind of gone the first two games, I think it's a very, very difficult ask, even against an Ireland team that's made a couple of changes. I'd probably hang my hat on Ireland for that one. And likewise, I think France will be far too strong for the Italians, who, to be fair to them, played well against England in their opener, but then just were really poor against Ireland. It was almost a reverting to type, unfortunately, which is really disappointing from their point of view. And actually, for the championship, you need 6 competitive teams, and this notion that there's a team there that might get flung out at some point it does nobody any good. I think unfortunately, probably the game here tomorrow is the one that has the jeopardy this weekend, and the other two are probably pretty straightforward.
Yeah, would you go along with that, Steph? Or are we going to see a potential upset in the two games?
No, I think realistically that is the viewpoint I would go along with. I certainly cannot see Wales beating Ireland at all. I think that has the potential to be. It could be a bit of an embarrassment for Wales. I think that I don't think it will be. I think it will be closer than people might believe, because I think Wales have got a very strong back row, and I think that they've shown that, like they did against Scotland, that they're willing to play, and they're good enough to compete. It's just that Ireland are on another level. I just can't see them winning, and it's in Dublin as well. With France and Italy, on paper it's France every day of the week, but France have been quite poor this championship. I don't really know where they're at. They were pretty dreadful against Scotland, other than taking that key opportunity where we were probably caught out defensively, and it was a tremendous chip that came off for them. But they were generally not great to watch. They're not the France that we've been used to, the dynamism that they've shown in the past few years. And the same could be said when they played Ireland. So I can't see Italy winning. And that's based on the fact that they got so destroyed by Ireland a couple of weeks ago after showing some promise against England. But I think if an upset could come from somewhere, it's probably that game over the Ireland and Wales game. That I think Italy do have a chance if they can pull everything together. But I've said that so many times. Gav's going to see he's going to see my continuing hope for Italian rugby, and it's just continually getting destroyed. But I think I agree with Gav. The jeopardy is in the Calcutta Cup. Definitely, I think it's 50-50. You couldn't really choose which way it's going to go.
Yeah, are Scotland doing the business tomorrow, Gav?
100%. 100%. I've said all week Scotland by 10 points. I always get slightly nervous the day before and day of the game that I maybe hung my hat on us being better than I think we are. I actually felt better this week because I saw Jim Hamilton had said Scotland will win by 15 points, and I thought, okay, wow. I've not gone out on a complete, crazy scoreline. Look, I think it'll be tight. Scotland by somewhere between 6 and 10 points, I think. But Calcutta Cup can stay here for another year.
Yeah. Let's hope so. Right, Gav, what's on the website? What can people look forward to and read at this moment in time?
Of course, loads of brilliant Calcutta Cup stuff. So we've got a look back at 1986, which is Scotland's record win in the fixture. They beat England here 33-6. And Alistair Reid, who has been a rugby journalist for the Times for a long number of years, he's done us a really great look back at that. We've got a really good analysis piece from Sam Larner on England and just where they are strong and maybe not so strong, which is a really interesting piece. We've got all the build-up from both camps. I spoke to Jamie George yesterday, and he talked so kind of openly about losing his mum and how that's affected him. And then tonight we'll have some insight from Finn Russell into the game, what it means, and how Scotland have been preparing, how he's been preparing. There's loads of great stuff on the site, and we're all just gearing up for the big one tomorrow, and we'll have full coverage all day tomorrow. I think a live blog of the game, plus I'll be here and we'll get all the reaction as well from both sides.
Excellent stuff. So there you go, folks. Head over to scotlandrugbynews.com. If you haven't subscribed yet, we've got two fantastic deals on. You can take advantage of the website and gain access for an entire year for just £12. Or if you prefer, you can take out a 6-month package for just £1. Really good offers. Head over to scotlandrugbynews.com/subscribe. Right, guys, that'll do us there. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. Thanks to Steph and to Gav as well. Hopefully we're reporting on a Scotland win when we join you again next week. Until then, bye for now.